Hey everyone, my name is David Rao and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, a variety of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. Tonight I'm going to be talking about another book that I love to use at the beginning of the year to use for movement, to really inspire kids to think about how can they dance, how can they move, and to be less self-conscious about that. So I'm going to get to that in just a second. A couple quick things to chat about. I'm going to post here. Well, on Facebook, if you're on Facebook and you're watching, can you tell me if you can hear me? Because I don't know if this mic is working. Here's hoping that you can hear me. I'm going to put Facebook. Can you hear me? Question mark. We'll find out. Okay, so a couple quick things. If you're interested in any of the books, resources, and things I talk about in this video, you can find those on my blog, makemomentsmatter.org, under the video tab, under the links page. It's a page where I put all that stuff. There's also a direct link at wherever you're watching or listening to this video. If you want to come and join us on Facebook, there's a Facebook group called Every Moment Matters Music Education Community. I hope you come and join us. It's a great place to chat and get ideas from other people and learn from other folks as we go. Okay, I'm going to be in Austin, Texas this weekend with the Capital Area ORF chapter. I hope to see many of y'all there. It's going to be a really fun workshop talking about improvisation and the small steps that you can take to make kids successful all along the way. 2 weeks after that, so 2 weeks from this weekend, I'm going to be in Missoula, Montana at the Treasure State ORF chapter, and I can't wait to be there and just share about so the basics of ORF Shellwork, how you can get started, things you might want to consider doing along the way. So all of that's coming up if you want to not see me through a screen, but if you want to see me in person. Okay, last week I hinted that there were going to be some giveaways and things happening this month. So I'm doing this thing called a Month of Magic because in September I feel like we get all this like fun back to school stuff, and a lot of companies do like, you know, back to school deals and back to school whatevers, and then September hits and we're like, oh my gosh, the whole school year is here. And it is slightly more stressful. And there are less of those companies like, hey, teachers, have a blah, 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 blah. So on my blog, I'm doing a giveaway every weekend this year, good Lord, no, every weekend this month of September. So this last weekend, I did a giveaway where 3 winners won $150 worth of resources from my TPT store. Those people got emails already, but it's Michelle Kern, Cheryl Lewis, and Terry, whose last name didn't come through the giveaway. I don't know, but Terry, I sent you an email. So those 3 folks are getting big bundles of resources. Check back this weekend for another opportunity for cool stuff that you could win because it's a whole month of magic and not just the first weekend of September. But some really cool giveaways and stuff are coming in the next couple weeks. So check back this weekend for another fun giveaway. Okay, let's talk about dance and movement and how to make that less awkward for kids. I feel like a lot of times adults have this idea like, oh yeah, just dance, do whatever you want. And some kids, easy, they will go for it. Other kids do not have a concept of what you mean when they're like, yeah, dance whatever you want. And they're like, but how? And not even just like creative movement or like artistic movement, like not like ballet or creative movement, something like that, like not just that setting. But I find that kids, even when you're like, let's do a dance party, like they don't have necessarily a concept of what that is unless they're dancing at home with friends, family, parents, whoever. And so I'm always trying to find ways to get kids more comfortable in their bodies, more comfortable moving, dancing, being just creative and having fun with movement, and figuring out how to empower kids to do that. Well, in the last couple weeks, I've shared, a couple weeks ago, I shared a book called Lines That Wiggle about how I get kids to think about their pathways, their movement through the room. Last week, I talked about a couple more books, In the Small, Small Pond and Pizza, that I use for my younger grades to get them thinking about how they can, it's really more creative movement, how they can like use their bodies to recreate a story and mimic things in real life. Today, I want to share a book that's just about like dancing to popular music or dancing to fun music, and like how can you get kids comfortable with that. It's a really fun book that I'm hoping my technology will let me share. So let me switch over. I'm going to try to switch. This is why I was like a couple minutes late, because my technology never wants to work to do this projector thing. So I'm going to see if it'll work. And again, Facebook, if you can't hear me, Hey, Facebook, can you still hear me? Facebook, can you hear me? We'll find out. Instagram's like, whatever. Facebook, we're here. Okay, so we're going to talk about this book, How Do You Dance, and how you can use this to get kids to move in fun ways and be less self-conscious. Okay, so the book itself, I love the cover because they're like 4 or 5 kids like dancing in fun and creative ways, and one kid with his arms crossed like, no. And then you open up, and even the opening page is a bunch of people dancing in different ways. How do you dance? Like this, like this, like this. I don't. So that like this, like this, like this, there are 5 different people, adults, kids, teens, adolescents, whoever, dancing, moving in different ways. And it's really fun to like, as I'm reading this with kids, I say like, ooh, that dance, okay, this is tricky because, you know, an illustrator is someone who makes pictures and an author is someone who writes words and stories. But an illustrator has a really hard job if they're writing, you know, or if they're illustrating for a book about dance, because dancing is movement and illustrations are static. They don't move. They're stuck, right? And so how do you show movement through illustrations? Well, I think this illustrator did a great job. You can honestly, I think, picture how they're moving. And then with kids, I would like demo like what I think these dances might be like. And especially this kid right in the middle, you know, he's doing that one Fortnite dance where they like, you know, like kind of pound their fist and then kick their foot. What I don't know what it's called. It's one of the Fortnite dances. There are, you know, many. But kids are like, oh yeah, that's totally that whatever dance. Right. So we mimic, or I mimic a couple of these as I'm reading. Kids usually have them sit down just to read through the first time, and then we'll move in a second. And then there's a kid who goes, I don't. I do. Rick does too. Go, Rick. Go, Rick. Go, Rick. And then, okay, so Rick, I ask kids, what's Rick's job? Well, Rick is a custodian. You can tell because he's wearing like that blue uniform. He's got the mop. He's got the bucket. He's got his ring of keys. He's got his headphones on. And you can see Rick is like going to town dancing. Kids don't always quite understand what that's like. So that's when I pull out my little, I've got this like duster thing that looks like what they use. It's like that little roller thing they use to like, quote unquote, vacuum at Pizza Huts in like the 1990s. It's that little rolly thing that you just roll on the ground. Anyway, I take that and I roll around the room as if I am sweeping up, right? And then I pretend like, oh, I'm sweeping and I'm going nuts with it. And I'm then like, I start moving and dancing like as if I'm trying to like sweep around, but also dance. And so kids can kind of see me doing that and what that might look like if you had that thing in your hand and you started dancing with it. Mags beckons, Koyo bops, Gilda flits, Aurora scrunches, CJ makes a face like something stinks. John looks right at you. So for each of those examples, there's an illustration of someone who's dancing in a different way. And again, I sort of demo what those might look like. Beckoning, like, you know, curling your finger at someone, like, come here, come here, come here. And Koyo bopping, like you could do a little like sort of a shimmy thing or like a pushing down in the air, moving around in the air. Gilda flits, oh, she's like finger painting, but you can imagine what that's like. The scrunching, I love Aurora scrunching and sort of moving her body, pulling her body together. I also love how her hair is moving, so you can tell there's movement. CJ making a face like something stinks, like looking behind him and like scrunching his face. And then John looking right at you. I love that one too, because it's like pointing right at someone and looking as you go. So I sort of, again, demo sort of all those, what that might look like if you're doing it. Just move one part, then move another. Let it get weird. See where it goes. So then again, we look at the pictures of one kid standing and then moving one arm, bending, moving their leg up, scrunching down, jumping up. Like as they take tiny little movements that affects and changes their dance and makes them move in different ways, right? So again, I demo that. I stand still, I move one thing, I move another thing, I move another thing, and slowly I get into a point where I'm not stopping anymore in between. I'm just completely moving all throughout my body. And again, I love that kid is like, I don't dance, is on every page, like watching, just watching. Face, knees, fingers, toes. And that's a zoom in on the face and the knees and the fingers and the toes, and showing how you can move with just those things. How can you dance with just those things? Maybe you have no bones. Ooh, if you had no bones, how would you move? It'd be more like, I don't know, liquid or fluid, or your body is just sort of like relaxing. and sort of slumping a little bit. But if you're made of metal, that's the opposite. Your body's rigid and it's sort of stiff and you're moving more like a robot, really. And that's like two very, very different things. And I love the illustration is the same kid doing both things. The no bones and the made of metal is the same kid moving in different ways. So they can then visualize that same person and how you could do both things. Maybe you shimmy because you made something delicious, like so delish. And I say, okay, kids, when I make something really delicious or I'm having food that I really love, you can see me bouncing and moving. I'm moving in the seat. I'm moving around the room. This is good. This is good. You know, you can see that with me. I do that. And then the other kid interrupts. Hey, maybe I don't want to dance and just want to eat dinner. Okay. Okay. No dancing during dinner. But you could dance after dinner, at the market, at the bus stop, on a break. Oh, I love on a break because that guy, the construction worker, they're taking a break, but then he's actually break dancing. Other things I love, after dinner, there's someone cleaning up, putting away, and they're just sort of dancing as they do it, putting away pots and pans and cleaning up a spill. At the market, oh, that's when I have to demo the dancing with your shopping cart or your buggy, whatever you call it, where you're like, you know, pushing the cart, grab something off the shelf, put it in the cart, grab something off the shelf, put it in the cart. And at the bus stop, I love that there's a kid in a wheelchair so that they can see that all people can dance however they want to dance. There are lots of different ways to dance. And then the break dancing, I love that one too. They're just sitting looking at a phone, right? Like at the bus stop. And like so many kids get that. Like you sit and you watch and you like move along. It's super fun. Good days, rainy days, sad days even. You can dance on any of those days. Sometimes you just need to flop around until you feel better. And so there's another progression illustration where two kids are laying on the ground and they start flopping and moving. They move another thing, their flops get bigger. Now they're moving and jumping off the ground. All those illustrations with hair moving so you can see sort of the direction they've come from. And I love how that progresses from one thing to another. Try some new moves. And then there are all these like random illustrations of poses. And I always say to kids, okay, we're going to come back. Don't worry. But right here, you've got the jiggle, you got the swivel, you got the flap, the slip, the scribble, the middle. Oh, that's just the middle of your body moving. The zappo, like you've been shocked. The zip, the mister, the sister, the poodle, the scoot, the sneak, the windy, the toodles, the nothing. Oh, how do you do the nothing? You just do nothing. Fine. And then one little girl doing the poot, which I think is probably twerking, but I'm not going to say that, even though that's what I'm assuming it is. Go high, go low. Fast, 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 then slow. Again, illustrations I think are so cool here. You can see the kids leaping. You can see the kids in all different low levels, whether down on all fours or laying down or rolling. Fast is sort of like, you can see there's movement through the illustrations because there are those like lines around people as they move. And then slow, you can see there's like a little turtle there, and you can see what that might look like if they're moving through the space, but slowly. It's really cool illustrations. Move like dinos. Move like robos. Move like horsies. Move like dads. Again, hilarious and fun contrasting things. Moving like dinosaurs. How would a dinosaur dance? Like a robot. Kids already have sort of a concept of that. Like a horse, and these horses are up on their hindquarters. Hilarious. And then dads. Kids understand dad dances. They get that part. All together in the dark. And then you can see there's like all these characters that have been brought in throughout the story show up here too. Enough! I don't dance like that. I want to be left alone, says the kid who's been on like every page. The narrator says, understood, but just between us, how do you dance? And I say to the kids, well, we got to know. That's the name of the book. How do you dance? And the kid goes, I just told you. Alone. And then there's a picture of that kid in their bedroom and how they're dancing, they're moving, they're flipping, they're flopping, they're moving around, they're having a great time. And then a picture on the next page of them like relaxing in an easy chair because they're all wiped out from just dancing. I love this one too because it empowers kids to know that like you don't always have to dance in a group in front of other people for it to be worthwhile and fun. The whole book is about letting yourself relax and dance and do what you want to do. And sometimes that's you dancing alone or by yourself, or maybe you do that before you dance with other people, or maybe you do that to try things out. That's okay. Dance doesn't just have to be in front of other people. It doesn't have to be on a stage. It doesn't have to be on a dance floor. It can just be you having fun. So I say, well, this book is all about dance. We better go back and do some of these dances. So what I'm going to do is, for example, I'm going to start some music in a second, and I'm going to come to a page like this, and I'm going to say, choose one. I've gone back to the very, very first page of like the 6 different people dancing, the adults, the kids, whatever. I'm going to say, choose one, and then I'm going to say something like switch, and I'm going to say something like switch. And then you're going to get to change from one dancer to the next to try out these different dances. You don't have to come up with anything. Just look at what's on the page and let that inspire you. In fact, and we go back to the page in the middle with all those different dance poses of, the jiggle, the swivel, the flap, and which is really just like an outline of a person kind of colored in. And it's just doing all these different moves. And I let them kind of try and figure these out before we do any of them. They're all pretty self-explanatory. There are none hardly that the kids have any trouble with. The one that the two they do have some trouble with, the zip, I say like pretend like you have a zipper going from your feet all the way to your neck. Zip that all the way up, find another zipper, zip that another way. Oh, there's a zipper in the air now. Zip, zip, zip. And then they're moving with like short little burst of lines. That sort of helps. The other one they do have a little bit of trouble with is the middle, where I say, oh yeah, just the middle of your body. That's the only part that gets to do the dance. So that's like instead of saying move with your hips, say move your middle. And then that gives them a little bit less like, oh, I'm moving my hips, and more like, okay, it's just the middle of me. So we start out by practicing and giving this first page, and we try each one together. We try this older person here. We try the younger person. We try each person. We go all the way along, and I say, okay, now I'm going to start some music, and here we go. Now, the music I choose is this. I hope you can hear it. If you can't hear it, it is BTS's Dynamite, but it's an instrumental track only. The kids know the song maybe, but it's a pretty easy song to get moving and grooving to. I'm going to turn it off so that it doesn't mess with sound here. But I linked it on the links page. You can find, I'm a Spotify person. If you just put BTS Dynamite instrumental, actually any of their songs, almost all their songs have just the instrumental only version. But I also linked it on YouTube because they have it there too. So I put that on, and I'll say something like, okay, find your first person and go. 2, 3, find another one, ready, try it, ready, go. Another one, ready, find it, and go. And so then I'll turn the page and I'll say, ooh, now it's time to do the Rick. Grab your mop, here we go. And you don't have a real mop, right? But they're just pretending they're going through. And then I love to get this page with all 6 different things. Okay, do the beckons, Mag beckons. Let's all do that. Let's all do koyo bopping. Let's all do gilda flitting. So like every about 8 beats or so, I'll have them switch to a new one. There are a couple that I love when they do the move one thing, move another thing, move another thing. I love when they get to do that, see what that looks like. They do really well when it says move just your face, move just your knees, just your fingers, just your toes. Maybe you have no bones, maybe you're made out of metal. It's just fun to go through. Some pages I skip, like something tastes good. You don't get to all of them in that amount of time you have. But what I will say is when I do this, I take a hint from one of the last pages of all together in the dark. So I turn off some of my lights so it's less light in the room, so kids feel like maybe a little less intimidated by seeing other people seeing them. And then I just go page by page and I let them try a bunch of stuff. They love when we get to the try some new pages page, so they can see sort of what that's like and explore some of those things. So this book is just made to give kids ideas about like what they could do and how that's going to look, and like what that might look like, illustrated or in person. And when they see me go through the whole thing first and try it, then they get an idea of what that might look like from me. But then it's fun for them to try it themselves. So How Do You Dance by Tyra Heder. It's a really, really cool book. And I'll just tell you, like, when I was little, and not even little, even now, I get stressed when I think about having to dance in front of other people, because again, just like kids or just like other adults, I'm like, ooh, but what if someone's watching? And I think that is so hilarious that even like a music teacher who's been doing it for a while will get nervous, in front of other people. When I teach workshops, when I go around the country, going other places, doing lessons with people, I see other adults do this too. And so I know that the kids feel it too. And so to give them a chance to just have fun, be silly, they've seen it demoed in a lot of different pictures and people and experience. So then to get to try it with low stress is so much fun. And hilarious to see the outcomes and kind of what they come up with, because they can come up with, so many different things, which I think is great. So How Do You Dance by Tyra Heder, I think it's a really great book. I do it in about second grade, but I think you could do it second, third, maybe fourth. It depends on your classes if you can get away with them being silly and having fun. It's great for the beginning of the year because it sets expectations for, we're going to be a little silly. It's okay to explore. We're going to try some things. It might look a little weird at first. Even the book encourages that, right? Get a little weird, see where that goes, have fun with that. And so it's I think a great book to start the year and set expectations for how we're going to move and be in the music room. It's also fun because it's not just like creative movement. It is like more pop music, more like moving to the beat, having fun, trying out. They really lean into these things that are like maybe a little silly, like the kid looking just at you, or the kid making a face, or dancing like a dad, dancing like a robot, dancing like a dinosaur. So they lean into these things that kids already sort of instinctively understand. There are a couple pictures and illustrations in there that kids think are really funny, like the poot dance, which is sort of like maybe twerking, I don't know, but we'll pretend it's not. Or the kid, like after dinner, he's just in his underwear banging pots together. So like the kids think that the book is funny, but they also are willing to engage with it. So totally a book that I think is worthwhile, if not just for your kids, for you too, to go and like have fun and play with your kids. This, like I said, I use the song by BTS, Dynamite, because it's catchy, it's a quicker tempo, it's pretty easy to use. But the instrumental version, it takes words out, so then you can talk over it, and you can give kids instructions as you go, and they have like no issue hearing you. So totally a book that I think is worthwhile for you checking out, and I hope that you get it and really enjoy it. I looked for it tonight on Amazon. You can get a hard copy version, like a hardback version, for like $10. You can get a board book, which I would maybe not recommend for this specific example, for about $8 or so. But I know you can also get it from the used book websites, and I put a link to that blog post I wrote about where to buy books if you want to buy used online. I put a link to that on the links page. Okay, I hope you will come back this weekend to my blog, because I'm doing another big giveaway this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So come back on Friday looking for that. Thanks to all the people who entered the giveaway this weekend. There were those 3 lucky winners I talked about, I emailed you already. So if you're one of those winners, woo, hooray. But there are more giveaways coming up every weekend in September. If you come back to my blog, makemomentsmatter.org/giveaway, you'll be able to find it, or just find me on my socials and you'll be able to see. I'm going to post about it there too. Okay, I hope this gave you another idea. And if you have a question or anything, please email me, makemomentsmatter@gmail.com. Otherwise, I'll see you all next week. Thanks for coming along for another Musical Monday. Bye, everyone.